Imagine a mechanical turbine spinning at maximum speed. It possesses immense power, yet if disconnected from a drivetrain, that energy generates zero forward motion. This is the reality for millions of disciplined, consistent professionals. They exert massive effort, but their output refuses to scale. When growth stalls, the reflexive response is rarely to question the machinery. Instead, we ask, how do I work harder? Modern professional culture reinforces this by celebrating hustle as the primary metric. We are taught the sheer magnitude of our exertion is the only reliable predictor of success. But there is a failure condition in this logic. Applying intense effort toward a flawed strategy does not generate momentum. It only accelerates systemic frustration. This logic holds: effort does not equal results. As the math shows, hard work cannot compensate for poor direction. To solve this, we must stop treating professional output as an emotional measure of willpower. We have to treat it as a rigorous engineering problem. Survival in a high-performance environment requires stripping away the comfort of being busy to discover actual systemic leverage points. We must first distinguish between motion, the act of moving, and progress, moving toward a specific destination. Motion is a psychological trap. Our brains provide an emotional reward for activity, even if that activity generates no actual value. This fluid dynamic schematic shows a massive primary pipeline splitting into dozens of tiny dead-end capillaries. In a professional system, these represent high-volume, low-value activities. These are the tasks that feel like work but produce nothing: answering every email as it arrives, scrolling professional social media, attending unstructured meetings, and obsessing over minor aesthetic details. These activities drain immense operational energy while failing to engage any of the mechanisms that actually drive results. Elite performers operate with a different filter. They ruthlessly separate the signal of leverage from the noise of distraction. Ask yourself, where are you currently applying massive effort in the wrong direction? Activity without intentional direction creates a false sense of productivity, while the underlying business slowly stalls out. Professional effort is not a scalar quantity defined by magnitude alone. It is a vector, magnitude plus precise direction. Scalar effort is blind magnitude. It's the act of hustling intensely but randomly, spreading resources dangerously thin across a wide perimeter. Vector effort, however, couples magnitude with strategic direction. This allows the force to compound at a single point, piercing through the boundary and moving the system forward. When you adopt a vector mindset, the question changes. You stop asking how to work harder and start asking where the effort should actually go. Mapping this vector requires diagnostic precision. You must identify what actually drives results and what creates the highest return on energy. Applying vector mechanics means identifying your highest return target and aligning all systemic energy toward it before applying any force. In the physical reality of operations, every system contains friction and constraints. Successful constraint navigation requires isolating the actual bottleneck rather than reacting to downstream symptoms. When throughput stalls, amateurs try to force a result by increasing raw effort. But as the flow increases, the volume passing through the constriction remains small. This creates a violently turbulent high-pressure zone behind the bottleneck. If you increase effort without widening the constraint, the system eventually ruptures. In a professional context, we experience this rupture as burnout. These bottlenecks are often structural: a lack of market visibility, poor communication systems, or a lack of clear priorities. Elite leaders ignore the symptoms and focus exclusively on widening the specific constraint to allow the system to handle more input. Applying force to the wrong point in a constrained system wastes human energy and actively damages the structural integrity of the operation. When the vector approach replaces the hustle paradigm, it fundamentally changes your psychological state. Most people believe confidence comes from motivation or discipline, but those are emotional variables that fluctuate. True confidence is a byproduct of predictive accuracy. When you remove the variables of wasted effort and align your system toward a single point, the path to the result becomes a calculation rather than a hope. Clear direction lowers ambient stress and makes daily decision-making frictionless. As the system's energy stops fighting against its own bottlenecks, execution naturally becomes efficient. The flow becomes linear, rapid, and carries zero turbulence. To achieve this, internal systems must be engineered around strategic priorities, never around emotional reactions or the desire to feel busy. Hard work matters, but hard work applied strategically changes lives.